Ratatan, the spiritual successor to Patapon, has been officially announced. I didn't think it'd be back so soon. For those that aren't in the know, in May of last year, news broke that Tokyo Virtual Theory was working on a new title, Project Jabberwocky, with series creator Hiroyuki Kotani and composer Kemi Adachi returning to develop the project. Jumping to this year, on July 15th during Bit Summit Let's Go, Project Jabberwocky was formally announced as Ratatan, along with the news of a Kickstarter campaign, which is currently active as of this video. Today, I want to talk about just that. Everything you need to know about Ratatan and why you should support this Kickstarter. But if you're new here and don't know what Patapon is or are curious about the events leading up to this announcement, then please consider watching my Patapon retrospective, link in the description. I want to start off by mentioning that this video is pretty volatile. The Kickstarter is already funded, within 47 minutes in fact, and we are just blasting through the stretch goals. We're also actively learning new stuff about the game through Kickstarter updates, so please understand that this video is created during a very specific period of time. A time capsule, if you will. Now, I think the fastest way to convey whether or not this is something you're interested in is by jumping straight into the gameplay trailer. And color me impressed, they got a lot done in a year. This confirms that the call and response gameplay returns in all of its glory. These fellas are called Kobuns, and they act as the equivalent to the traditional Patapon. Visually, they take after the Ratata, who are the uber hero equivalents in this game. Just like rare pawns, they're all based on animals. So far we've seen rabbits, frogs, ducks, pigs, owls, cats, hedgehogs, and even a mushroom, which, yeah, I know that's not an animal, but bear with me. In my retrospective, I didn't catch on to Harigitan being a hedgehog. I thought it was a Kirin, like from Monster Hunter, but I guess this is supposed to be a nose, not a horn. Your Kobun army can also exceed 100 units, which I feel directly catered to after mentioning that in my retrospective. Maybe they'll go back to the army concept, but go wild and expand it out to like an army of 100 Patapons. That would be amazing! We also see multiple Ratata, which makes sense as it's confirmed that the game supports up to 4 players simultaneously. Tokyo Virtual Theory is touting their serverless multiplayer engine, aka the Theory engine, so I imagine they would want to use Ratatan as their debut flagship title. The online multiplayer stretch goal was met, so I'm sure they'll put this to good use. I just hope the game is properly balanced for both single player and multiplayer this time. Anyways, right away there's some differences to the gameplay relative to Patapon. For one, you control the Ratata like a traditional platformer, which is very apparent here with the cat-like one named Nyandola. Basically, they can be moved freely while your army of Kobuns need to be commanded to perform tasks. Speaking of commands, this seems pretty different as well. I was hoping the Kickstarter would clarify this because from what I'm discerning, instead of 4 beats per measure, there are now 7. Going off the notes that appear around the Ratata. However, the returning rhythm border still seems to be the same tempo as Patapon, so that will take some adjusting to, because that implies each beat won't be exactly when the border flashes. The combo system returns, so naturally there is a fever mode as well, and what appears to be a super fever mode. The Kickstarter mentions that if everyone's party goes into fever mode at the same time, you'll really bring the house down. So maybe that's what super fever represents. Or maybe it's like the system in Patapon 3, where the bar gradually turns golden the more accurately you play in fever mode. There's also some music featured in the Kickstarter as well. From what I hear and what we see in the trailer, there are at least 3 commands, which seems to be the attack command, which seems to create this orb, maybe a charge or defense move. It's hard to say because it gets cut off before we really see anything happen, and which seems to activate the Ratata skill. We've seen 2 of them so far, Kero Rampas that drops bombs everywhere, and Harigitan which creates a platform. Again, I'm not totally sure how this system works. It seems that a directional correlates to multiple notes, like Zun, Taka, and Tan are all right, Rat and Tat are both left. That also means the 3 commands so far only require you to press a single button. I imagine later on there will be commands that mix these directions. We also don't know what down is yet, but we know there's at least 4 inputs based on this Gematsu article. And yeah, this seemingly confirms all the notes are vocals instead of drums like in Patapon. I wasn't a huge fan of the drum shouts in Patapon 3, but the Ratata are the ones actively singing the commands, so there really wouldn't be a universal substitute anyways. I'll live with it. Now in terms of sound, I'm so happy to say that Adachi-san still has it. My favorite so far is the Pirates of the Peridian theme, but I'm relieved to know that the music is structured the same as Patapon, with the vocals starting off very safe. Gradually picking up in energy and becoming more distinct. Then finally deviating and forming their own identity. This dynamic format is what contributed to such addictive gameplay in Patapon, so I'm ecstatic to know they did it right. I hope we get to see some funk in the soundtrack as well. If this is anything like Patapon, then we'll likely hear all kinds of genres. We met the stretch goal for a David Wise collaboration, you know, the Donkey Kong Country guy, and even chiptune versions of the music, so I'm really excited to see all the new directions the score will take us. We also see some enemies in this trailer, like these evil-looking Kobuns, clearly the Zigaton equivalents in this game. There's also this boss shown at the end named Decadon, who not only resembles Dodonga, but apparently is, at least according to the Kickstarter. It says, a big grumpy dragon with a big grumpy attitude. Once the guardian deity of a world born by a different god, his presence is out of place in the world of the Ratatans. Very interesting. I wonder if we'll see other Patapon cameos like this. In this trailer, we see two of Decadon's attacks. One where he breathes fire, which has a really cool wind-up animation, and a head charge attack, which makes me wonder how movement will work, because going off Patapon logic, the only way to dodge this would be by jumping, and given how fast it is, I can't imagine retreating would fare well, so likely your best bet would be defending. Since we briefly touched on some lore, let's hop into what we know about the story. The world the Ratatan inhabit is called Redo, which is either a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that this is a spiritual successor, the fact that it's a world reborn after a post-apocalyptic event, or solfège in reverse, re-do instead of do-re, or all three. The Ratata are seeking out a place called the Ever After, which is where their goddess resides. This is not too dissimilar to Earthend, as according to our song, it states, "The Ever After's lovely, just come and see. Yummy sweets and fluffy beds await thee." Everything in this world is born through Madama, which is the Japanese word for eyeball. I'm not sure if we've actually seen any raw Madama yet. I mean, we've certainly seen eyeballs, but it sounds pretty important as it's used to create Kobuns. Kobuns are born when a Ratata gives Madama to a chorus, which are these previously seen creatures that resemble fish, turtles, and salamanders. The Kobun's type is based on what Ratata influences it. We've also seen evidence to suggest that Kobuns can evolve to more closely resemble a Ratata, which further mimics the rare pond system from Patapon 2. There's also artwork for what looks to be a vanilla Ratata, so one without any animal traits, just like a standard Patapon versus a rare pond. Side note, this concept art has an earlier title for this game, Ratatat. Anyways, I wonder if instead of hunting, we go on expeditions to recruit chorus instead. The Kickstarter also clarifies that the fish chorus are named Ototo. However, the latest Kickstarter update also refers to them as apostles. So I'm not sure if it's referring to the two different kind we've seen, or if they're still ironing out the localization. There's also this ship that follows us, named Fort Run. Now, when Kotani-san was talking about ships being their method of transportation, the idea of an airship never crossed my mind, so that's cool. Considering Kotani-san's involvement with Skygunner, I guess this shouldn't come as a surprise. Now, boats seem to be a big theme in this game. It sounds like we'll be sailing all over what's called the Peridian Sea, that features a band of pirates known as the Swashbuckling Mountaineers, led by Captain Barbatoid, who sails aboard the Jolly Hermit. The way he's described reads to me more like an anti-hero. There's also a more western-themed environment, known as Ye Holler Mountain, that features a gang of bandits, the Stinger Diggers. They're led by Scorpswoosh Bill, and their lot is resorted to pillaging after their dreams of striking it rich fell through. Classic villain behavior. There's also this Shadow Bird character we don't seem to know anything about, but yeah, these are some really great designs. Really, everything we've seen so far looks incredible, especially the animation. It sounds like it's being outsourced to PH Studio, which makes sense given this is an indie game, but the results are stunning, to say the least. Something I'm a little confused on is what Ratata Arts is relative to Tokyo Virtual Theory, but here's a list of everyone on the Ratata Arts team. Again, very impressed a crew of this size was able to produce this much content of this quality after only a year. Anyways, those are the broad strokes, time for some smaller stuff. Like the logo. Now isn't this cute? The font is very unique, but this little banner at the bottom right is a nice homage to the Japanese logo of the first Patapon. Some fans think the actual logo itself also can read as Patapon if you look at it a certain way, but I think that's just a coincidence. Using that logic, then this would also read Potapon, so I think it's just a happy accident due to the similarities. I initially thought the T was supposed to be an island, but after all the seafaring and pirate stuff, clearly it's to represent water, once again reinforcing that theme. Also, some of the Ratata designs changed since this was first announced as Project Jabberwocky. Mostly minor, I think all for the better. Like the duck is now green instead of brown, and the bird, named Mimizukyun, more strongly resembles an owl. And last, in the FAQs, they mention that they are actually quite far along in the production cycle and feel very confident in getting everyone into the game by April 2025. So there's your release window. I wouldn't take that as definitive, as game development is a huge undertaking, but it's good to know their expectations. Oh, and we met the goal for the console ports as well, so we can expect this to be available on the latest generation of consoles when it's ready too. Now in terms of what I want in Ratatan, I hope the boss fights are the highlight and don't become irrelevant as you become stronger. My favorite thing about the first two Patapon games is that the bosses become more difficult each time you defeat them, and because they're harder, they gradually drop rarer materials and equipment. Really, I just want bosses to integrate into the gameplay cycle seamlessly. I want my own skill to determine my ability to defeat them, not my stats. Given this game is describing itself as a roguelike, that should be a priority, but I thought I would put it out there anyways. And remember, this is a Kickstarter, so the backers will have influence on the direction of this game. Nothing is completely set in stone, and the team is open to feedback. There's several social media channels, including a Discord too. The Kickstarter also mentions beta access, which I'm super excited for, so let's all work hard to make Ratatan the best game it can be. If you're interested in supporting this project, the Kickstarter is available until September 1st, 2023, and there's some really cool physical rewards courtesy of Red Art Games. I'll leave a link in the description, along with a link to the Ratatan Kosak page. But that's it for me, so thanks for watching. I did want to mention how much I appreciate everyone's support lately. After Ratatan was announced, the Patapon retrospective has exploded in popularity. So really, thank you for your interest. I read every comment this channel gets, so I appreciate anyone that has taken the time to share their experiences with me. I did release another video essay a couple months ago about Katamari Damacy and its sequel, We Love Katamari, if you're interested. It's not really a retrospective, but a massive review with some trivia, so if that sounds interesting to you, then please take a look. Okay, bye!